Been almost 2 months in the making with exhibition races and practice sessions around Club Corner. And we're off. Season 1 of the Night Racing League Sports Car Championship is underway. But let's show you coming up the hill now, your championship winner in LMP. There is Nathan Jew. Congratulations on a fantastic season. Your GTE champion, Jennifer McDonald. Season 2 of the Night Racing League Sports Car Championship underway. Out of the bus stop comes Dennis Rotter, the pole sitter, and your Season 2 champion, completing a perfect season. It'll be an 8th straight podium. Jennifer McDonald, your Season 2 champion. Hello everybody and welcome to the Night Racing Esports YouTube channel, and yes, Season 3 starts now. We are at Daytona for race number 1 in the Night Racing League Sports Car Championship, Season number 3. And we're glad to have you with us for a fantastic season coming up. The first 3 class Endurance Sports Car Championship in the Night Racing League. And we've got an amazing field today. It is race number 1 here at Daytona for 2 hours before we head off to Road America, Road Atlanta, Sebring, then down to Interlagos in Brazil before heading across the pond for Monza, the first time we ever have raced at Monza in the KRL, and Le Mans and Spa-Francorchamps. Finish off the season on the 11th of December. The cars are just finishing up their warm-ups, and as you can see, it is an evening to night race. The sun just going down. January 31st is the sim date, and we are starting the race around about just 7:10-ish p.m. And the sun has just gone down as the cars get ready for 2 hours of action here at Daytona. We jump in with Andre Schwartz running the Night Racing Esports colors for the first time, and he's going to be racing them all through Season 3 here. 8 cars in the KRE stables. That's Ivan Zaranu in the 77. Everybody pushing the limits as we get ready to start up here. It's going to be a fantastic event. We said we've got a huge field. So let's take a look at today's starting grid. As we fly over the Porsche pace car, here is your starting grid for Daytona. Eric Fox on pole with a 133.051. He'll line up alongside Season 2 champion Dennis Rotter in the 011, 133.098. 133.539 for Oliver Schlabs inside row 2. He'll line up alongside countryman Andreas Schwarz, a 133.560. Jeff Jerome and Paul Seeley are in row 2, 33.6 and 34 zeros respectively, with Lucas Wallace, a 134.086, lining up alongside Keith Rainey in the number 6 KRE car. Dean Ellico in the 429, a 134.554. GTE Pro will be led to the grid by James Posland with a 140.335. Yuri Mathjison in his KRL debut, a 140.442. Ivan Zaranu will line up inside Max Riebensteiner, 140.7 and a 41.2 for Max. Andreas Sakalas has a 141.233. He'll line up alongside Emantis Shilakis, a 141.252. Jacques Botha, a 141.278, with Hayden Fowler in the 28 car, a 141.283. Kevin Hensel and Jaden Manathan Guerin will line up in row number 5, with Aiden Campbell and Piers Berry in row 6, 141.6 and 141.742. Mark Sonnen rounds out a 13-car GTE Pro field with a 141.838. Rowan Kelly in the 222 lines up on pole in GT3 AM, a 144.394, alongside Jacob Wally with a 144.606. Row 2 is Jan Spammers with Forrest Ellico, 144.6s for both. Marcel Struth and Enos Bavla make up the next row, a 145.2 and a 145.3. Then it's Nicholas Scott in the 9 Ferrari, a 145.426. He'll line up alongside Dale Clough in the BMW, a 145.556. Steve Groninga and John Nielsen round out the grid of cars who qualified, 145.7 and 146.8. Chris Thompson will be at the back with Clayton Barklow. They failed to put up a time. That's your starting grid, and let's get to the track for 2 hours of action here at Daytona. As we await the Porsche pace car to head off, a short pace lap here at Daytona. 2 hours to kick off Season 3. We've been working all summer for this, and Eric Fox will lead the LMP grid. Ten cars in LMP, 13 in GTE Pro, and in another 11 cars in GT3 AM, a 34-car grid as we kick off the season. Welcome to you, everybody watching on YouTube, for what should be a spectacular season of sports car racing. We wait for the pace car to punch to the left. And the green flag waves. Season 3 of the Night Racing League Sports Car Championship is underway. Dennis Rotter with a jump to the outside. Very cautious down into turn 1. Everybody through safely. The GT3s get their run out as well. And around, we just saw the 719. That was Forrest Ellico. You see him in the background there is Eric Fox down into the East Horseshoe, East Hairpin. He's going to lead the LMPs down into turn number 6 and will head up to the banking for the first time. And James Posland dropping down the field. That's your pole sitter in GTE Pro. He's down to 11th in class. We'll have to see what happened there. We'll get some replays for the start as everything's happening early. He's down in behind Aiden Campbell in the 23 there. Meanwhile, up front, Dennis Rotter, the Season 2 champion, follows Eric Fox, who leads lap number 1 in round 1, Season 3. It's a big battle for first, a 3-car breakaway already in GT3. We'll get you up to date on the colors in a minute. That is Rohan Kelly leading, and he's been tapped. Jan Spammers in the Ferrari has tapped the Lamborghini. Spammers drops down. That is Jacob Wally now in the lead. And Kelly has he's wound up in turn 6, and it looks like he may have collected one of the LMPs. And as always, action all the time. James Posland there, we come back up. Yori Matheson has taken the lead. In GTE, there he is in the Porsche RSR, just ahead of Ivan Zirano in the 77. They, of course, have been let free with the troubles from Posland. That's Andrew Sakalis, and Max Riebensteiner in the 14 Switch It BMW. Meanwhile, Oliver Schlabs is dropping down the field. Very slow on the front straightaway. He's been overtaken by all 3 of the KRE cars. And we're hearing there may be floor damage. He could have gone off on the bus stop, but down on straight line speed. Jeff Jerome is in the pits. And let's see if we can catch some of the start action here. This is the LMP start. And as we noted, everybody minding their P's and Q's. Dennis Rotter actually takes a slight advantage, but that has got to be one of the most passive starts we've seen in that class all season long. Everybody knowing it's a 2-hour race. And we do get some side-by-side through the kink there. But down into the International Horseshoe, Eric Fox gets his lead. Well, let's see if we can find out what happened in GTE. We kind of missed the GTE start as we get a good look from the blimp. And again, a pretty clean start. I think that's one of the KRE Corvettes at the back. And, ooh, a little bump there as Jacques Botha loses some positions. But Posland does get away well from pole position. And Matheson falls into second place. Everything seems to be going quite well there until we get up a little further on. And let's see here as Posland comes down into the hairpin. Yeah, catches some grass with those left side tires, and around he goes. Doesn't hit anybody, very importantly, but loses a ton of positions. As we said, he dropped all the way down to 11th place. GT3, also a nice clean start, but we saw, yes, Ellico did go around all on his own there, just a little too much welly coming out of turn 1 and spins that car around. Rejoin live action. There is Posland. He's got Kevin Hensel in behind him, up to 9th place now. Down into the west hairpin. Mastigen leads Ziranu by just half a second. As we still have this battle going on with Riebensteiner and Sakalas. Meanwhile, up front, we've got a change of position here. That is Lucas Wallace in the 024 racing with Andreas Schwarz in the 204. And Wallace in 3rd place. Fowler, you see, in the GTE class moving up. And he has jumped that 2-car battle after a very poor qualifying for Fowler. He's starting to make up for it here. Clayton Barklow there, no qualifying time. These cars are gridded by position normally, but there's a whole bunch we've got to talk about, and that has to explain the multiple colors in GT3. And it's all thanks to the Season 4 update in iRacing as Posland makes some more positions up. Botha making some. There we see Botha on the outside of Schleikis. Lots of action. Barklow actually going off in the LMP, and the entire GTE field comes back through. What a gaggle of cars we've got going in here. Posland on the inside. Sakalas gets through. Aiden Campbell ahead of Piers Berry in the 41 BMW. And try to make a move now is the 94 of Hensel. Action all over the place as Barry keeps his nose ahead of the blue and gold Corvette. Checking in with the midfield in LMP. Up front, it is still less than a second lead, and we're already catching GT3 AM traffic. Eric Fox leads Dennis Rotter, the Season 2 champ, and they have really broken away from the rest of the field. Wallace and Schwarz are now 6 seconds back of this pairing. Unfortunately missing 3 pretty big names for this opening round. Jennifer McDonald and Christian Semba, both with family commitments today, couldn't make race 1. And Thomas Brommel, of course, who would be right up here with his Unleashed teammate. Those 3, which would have been a 13-car LMP field if they were here, and that's what we're looking forward to all season long. As Barklow continues to try and get through the GTE field after starting on the back. We did have a slight problem. The Season 4 build dropped halfway through testing for this race on Wednesday. So we'd already had 8 hours of practice, and the GT3 AM class, of course, running the Ferrari 488. And as a result, the new 488 Evo is now on the service, but it wasn't fair to the drivers who had already started testing. We committed to racing what is now the legacy Ferrari in this race, but of course it's not part of the GT3 class anymore, so we had to enter them into this race as a separate class. So that's why you see the Ferraris in purple. The GT3s are in pink, but they are all being scored together. That's the reason for the differences. And also, in order for qualifying to work, we had to turn off grid by class, so that if a Ferrari qualified ahead of a GT3 car, it would be in position on grid. So that is why Clayton Barklow, who had problems in qualifying and didn't set a time, was unfortunately gridded at the back of the grid and not his class. So he's having to have an extra hard day's work today and move his way through the field as Sakalas makes a pass there in front of Riebensteiner, and Posland, the next car coming along there. Mastigen and Zirano having a nice little battle up front. And every time we go into turn 1, you see this middle pack of GTEs jumping up and down. And just in the background, we saw that red Corvette of Mark Sonnen. Have to get used to calling his name with the red livery. Beautiful red Corvette. Actually, I believe very similar to the 888 of Botha as well. And up front, coming back through, ooh, a little wiggle from Dale Clough there in the BMW M4. That's the other change for today. The Mercedes AMG was out. This was a vote by the GT3 class. They wanted to run the new M4, and so if you're looking forward to the sound of that beautiful V8, unfortunately it's gone. We are running the Ferrari, starting next race, the Evo Ferrari, the new one, the Lamborghini Huracan Evo, of course, and the BMW M4 and the Porsche 911 GT3R. That is the AM class, as Eric Fox, now on his 8th lap, continues to be hounded by Dennis Rotter. Less than a second since the green flag dropped. There's been so much action going on around the class, as we've got the 3 night racing esports cars together. And that is Seeley leading Schwartz, leading Rady. Paul Seeley up to 4th place. So he's had a great start here. We've, of course, lost Oliver Schlabs to some kind of floor damage, and I'm not sure if he's retiring that car. We have the new damage fix rules, which are spectacular, I must say. No more bent wings running around for the entire race distance. Guys will be able to get their cars completely fixed and finish the endurance race as they're supposed to, as we've got a great battle here. Seeley now coming through some GT3 cars. Schwarz and Rainey all together. No team orders here. Back with the GTE midfield. Botha, Shilakis, and Sakalas all together. Thanks, Anantis, for getting back to me on the pronunciation of your name. I knew I was butchering it at Sebring, so thanks for the PM, and we've got that sorted. Side by side down the back straight, but Sakalas retains that position. Posland still in behind, having a look now on the high side. Your pole sitter in GTE. As these two battles are the two that have hotted up. Sort of a midfield in LMP and a midfield in GTE, with the pole sitter out of position. Posland up to 7 after just clipping that grass with the left side of his car. Nowhere to go there. Sakalas covers the inside. Oh, but around goes Shilakis. You can see there, Kevin Hensel has gotten by Piers Berry. So it's all happening, and the 546 is going to drop to the back of GTE. Manathan Garin has had issues. He's way down at the back. We didn't see what that was. As these 3 cars continue to go very, very close between Schwarz and Rainey there. The first 15 minutes of Season 3 in the books. We have battles all up and down the field. Rodder's still 3/4 of a second. We saw him fuel saving last time we were here at Daytona with the clever clutch paddle on his wheel, and made it quite a long ways. So I wonder if he's content just to sit behind the 33 here on the early going. We're going to keep a watch on that gap. It's 1 second as they are just hitting the banking coming out of turn 6. A little bit of curbing from Schwarz. Brady has a look, but nowhere near as close to make a move there. Tire wear, not much of an issue as long as you're taking care of your rears here. Getting up onto the banking, if you're spinning your tires, especially out of turn 6 and coming out to turn 1 and out of the hairpins, you can really wear the rears down. But if you're managing your race, tires shouldn't be an issue. It's all about your fuel and how much time you spend on pit road. Doing Ellico down at the back of the field as well, maybe some issues there. As Rainey having another look on Andreas Schwarz. Hensel now in front of Barry and Riebensteiner. Sonnen not far adrift, just a second, as these three are glued together. The camera keeps jumping back to them. Three different cars, three different lines. Up front, coming through the GTE traffic now, are your race leaders. Going to try to override the cameras a little bit as they jump back and forth to battles. We'll keep tabs with our leaders here. Half a second. It's been bouncing between 1.5 seconds. Pierce Barry now passing. Oh, they're into the bus stop side by side. Barry stuffs it in there. Here comes Riebensteiner. They keep jumping up and down on the timing screens. Fantastic driving by the pair of them to get through there. Schwarz and Seeley are side by side as well. Schwarz not making that pass. We're going to stick with this one as Barry and Hensel race down to turn 1. And the race leaders in LMP also coming through. Schwarz looks to have made that position. Side by side again. Schwarz with the inside, a little bit of a wiggle on braking, and he makes that stick. Andreas Schwarz up to 4th place. Rainey right there, but no mistakes on the brakes. He's going to have to continue to run at the tail end, looking for a space to get by. Schwarz, the top qualifier of these three, so let's see if he can stretch his legs here. Sakalas now on the inside of Botha. And Botha backs out of that. We don't see another side-by-side. There's Posland in behind. Your race leader in GTE Pro is Jori Mathjesen. And he stretched that out now. 2.5 seconds ahead of Zerano. There's Zerano in the 77 RSR. Hayden Fowler has got himself up to 3rd place in the C8R, and we've got a bit of a spread out in GTE, which is not what we're used to. This mid battle continues to rage. Posland on the outside. He's got himself up behind Botha in 6th place, so making his way through here, having a look. Those LMPs continue. What's going to happen to this battle now as they come through the thick end of the GTE Pro class? And then you think the inside of the kink. He's through. Oh, there is contact! Riebensteiner just touches the side of Schwarz. Seeley says, I'll have some of that. He's on the inside. A little touch. And what happens is they go into turn 6. Schwarz is going to maintain that position. Rainey all on the inside now. Seeley definitely making contact. That left rear popped into the air, and the 6 car waited patiently for his opportunity. Here comes Keith Rainey on the inside, and he is going to take 5th place. So from 4th to 6th for the 72. They all make it through the bus stop clean, back through the 14 of Riebensteiner, who has now lost touch with that group in front. Maybe that's why the flash of the lights. The traffic giveth and the traffic taketh away. All clean and all good. Posland and Campbell having a little ding-dong there. Where is Posland? We'll get another angle. There he is there. A little too far back for that to have been a pass. I wonder if that was a slowdown coming out of the bus stop. Oh, and this is going to be the greatest part of this season with nice full field Sealy coming down through now. Lots of GT traffic to go through for the LMPs. Lots of GT3 traffic for the GTEs. 34 cars today, all classes, 10 or more cars. So it's a great spread through all three of the classes. We're expecting some fantastic racing all season. We have 55 drivers signed up for this series. Really looking forward to having most of them on the track. Certainly a lot more than half here today. As the KRE cars continue to battle, let's check in with our leaders. It is a bit of a lead now, I have to say. Coming through the GTE class has spread apart the LMPs. Fox now with a 3.7 second lead over Rotter. Lucas Wallace finds himself all alone up in third place now as they have really spread apart. There's Lucas now just completing his 14th lap. And coming down through, that works out very well because we can pick up our GTE Pro leader, the 185 of Yori Matheson. That beautiful RSR, and a shout out to Yori in his first points race in the KRL. He's got the Night Racing League number plates on that Porsche, so good on him. We just saw Sealy on the timing screen. He has retaken, no, he was up beside Rainey, but has not retaken that position. As we're going to see a lot of that with the draft here. Posland now up beside the 23 of Campbell. These two, it looks like the 91 has finally got that pass done as they come down through one of the GT3 cars. Posland now up to 6th behind Botha again, actually. Remember, he lost that position. We think it was a slowdown. As we get a little bit of a look here. This is a replay of Sealy and Schwarz down through that. You saw Schwarz get kind of hit by Riebensteiner there. Sealy tried to take advantage. They made contact. And as it sat, everything status quo. Back to live. Aiden Campbell in the 23 Corvette CAR running in 7th place in GTE Pro. And a good tow here by Kevin Hensel. Got himself up to 9th place now. Looking at a move on Piers Berry. That is Shilakis in behind. He comes through as well after that early spin. A look in the outside, but Berry's got that covered off. Mark Sonnen right in this battle as well. It's a 4-car battle here for 8th place in GTE Pro. If you're new to the KRL, 3 classes, the LMPs, of course the fastest class, they require, it's an A license if you're on iRacing, an unlimited I rating, doesn't matter what your I rating is, but you must obtain a KRL super license to be in that class. And the way these guys go through traffic, you will see what a super license entails. The GTE Pros are just that, unlimited I ratings as well. You must also have an A license. No super license required, but of course all the racing standards apply, and the GTE driving is some of the most precise and exciting racing we've had in the previous 2 seasons. Always seems to be the class to watch as around goes Dale Clough in the 18 BMW M4. And And Dale all by... Oh, he's got the race leader coming through in LMP, and I think it spooked him. No contact, but he was about to turn in and said, yikes. There's the LMP leader, and sacrificed himself rather than cause an incident there. Shilakis on the tail end of Hensel. Looking on the outside, that is well and truly blocked off. He backs off and gets into the racing groove. He's got Mark Sonnen to worry about. These four are looking like they're going to shape up to be a running item all race long. Rainey still on the back end of Seeley. We've got a battle for second place. We're going to jump to that in GTE, or GT3 Pro. How many times am I going to do that? Marcel Struff in second place here. Third place, sorry, in GT3. And that is Ines Bothma in the 395. And that is the closest battle in GT3 AM right now. Dennis Rotter coming through in the LMPs. But definitely in the tow. Moving up the track to try and maybe break a little of that tow. But a great run by Botha. And as they touch the line, Bothma actually in the lead, and he's going to take that position. So up to third place in GT3 AM for the South African. It has been a quick half hour. We approach the 30-minute mark of race one. And this battle continues. That, ooh, around is Clayton Barklow. He's actually got himself up through the GTEs. He's in touch with his own class. But having a bit of a go-round there. I believe that was on the exit of right here. Side by side, Hensel now with Shilakis. And they're going to go into the International Horseshoe with it still up in the air. Shilakis, a great drive, and he will take that position, 9th place. What an incredible battle in the middle of this GTE Pro field. The qualifying times, if you were listening on the opening, we're absolutely on top of each other. And they're 30 minutes in. Shilakis a little out of position. He had that early spin. Oh, and another power slide there as he comes out of turn 6. And always when you get through the first half hour, we start to think about pit stops. It's generally the LMPs first, then the GTE Pros and the GT3 AMs. And 35 minutes tends to be the time as a little peak, but nothing going on there from Hensel, who... I had to look at that again real close. I thought I saw a bit of a wrinkle on the right front fender of that Corvette. As we start to get into things, I'm always going to give a shout out to anybody watching. If there's anything I miss, give me my pit lane road updates, and we'll make sure we get the proper information out about what happened in the race. I know a lot of the race teams are watching. Shilakis on the outside, but Barry's got it covered. He has had it covered. It's 5 seconds up to Aiden Campbell in the 23. Riebensteiner, we've got a car sideways back there. And Riebensteiner getting by Sonnen. We saw that spin there from Barklow, and we have found it. It was in the bus stop, actually, and he just a little too heavy entering, and ooh, some contact on the right rear as well. So after making his way up through the field, it was mentioned in the driver's meeting and before the race, because of the Legacy 488, we were not going to be able to grid cars by class today. The GT3 qualifying order was more important. We'll get to that later. That is Oh, and we had another spin. It's all happening in the bus stop. That is Shilekas around again. Possibly related to what was going on. First, the 22 car. What is happening? That's John Nielsen in the 54. Oh, and he gets sideways and a huge crash for the 22 car. A view from the chopper as well. This will give a very good idea of how this happened. You can see he's loose off that inside. He never did catch the rear end in the 22 car. Jeff Jerome, an innocent victim. But then in behind that, with that accident still maybe happening, you can see the 94 backs right out, but Shilekas goes for that apex as if the car was gone. Probably thought it was, and that causes him to go around. So everything happening, and obviously Nielsen in the 54 GT3M and Jerome in the 22 LMP, who already had that issue early on, not of his own making, when the 222 of Rowan Kelly got spun out of the lead in GT3. It collected the 22 down in turn 6. So Jeff back in the pits and having a very unfortunate start to season 3 here. Shilekas back on circuit. I'm going to get that name right every time, and if I don't, I'm going to catch myself like that. But the 546 now has dropped back to 10th place and is 38 seconds off the lead, according to our timing screen. Dennis Rotter is closing in that gap. There is the gap as Fox goes into the bus stop on his 21st lap. The gap now 3.7 seconds as we prepare. We're 35 minutes in almost, and we're going to prepare for LMP2 pit stops. Clayton Barklow has made it back into pit road as well, so some damage on that right rear corner from that bus stop spin. The bus stop claiming quite a few victims in the last few laps. 3 separate incidents. And just cars getting loose. As we might as well, we can update you from Stewart's have come clean on those bus stop incidents very quickly in both cases. A car got loose, the 54. He was collected by another car. That's a racing incident. There's nothing going on there. There's also going to be no further action on the 94 and the 546. He was trying to get out of the way. A little bit of space could have avoided that. Both cars maybe doing the right thing, but not going to the right place. And but no further action. That's a racing incident, incidental contact. The one that is being penalized, and there is the 222 of Rohan Kelly back on track. Unfortunately, 6 laps. He's 6 laps off the lead of LMP. He's on lap, his 14th lap now. The leader is on his 20th, so he's 6 laps behind, yes. The contact from the 999 of Jan Spammers, who's running in 2nd place still. He and Wally still together. That is going to be an avoidable contact penalty, and the way that works in the KRL, if it's not an intentional contact, which it obviously wasn't, you do get an avoidable contact. You misjudge the braking zone, and it basically goes down as a first strike. If things keep happening, you may get qualifying bans or time penalties or both, but he's going to have that on his record and start the season early. He's going to have to keep his nose clean for the balance of the season. As James Posland comes through, your GTE pole sitter here. And he's recovered up to 4th. But it shows you the competitiveness of this GTE Pro class as he was on pole, caught a little bit of grass, and, I mean, what did he lose? 4 seconds? Maybe? 3.5, 4, 5 seconds? But it was early in the race, of course, on the first lap. And he dropped 10 positions. It's taken him 35 minutes to get himself back up to 4th. He's still 11 seconds off the lead of the race. So tiny error has led to a long day's work for Posland, but what we learned in the summer series, he's got the pace and the racecraft, and he's certainly proving it again here today as he's fighting his way up through the field. One step off the podium. The next driver will be a big test, the 28 race winner, Hayden Fowler. And that is 3 seconds up the road for Posland. As Ines Bothma and Marcel Struff continue their battle, we looked in on them a little earlier, that the battle for third place in GTE. Disregard the positions on the left, of course, the Ferraris listed by themselves. That'll all be fixed next race. But it is third for Bothma, fourth for Struff at the moment. Nicholas Scott having himself a good little run there in fifth. And right in behind, actually. He's right in that battle, too. I didn't notice the car. Let's see if I can get a little look at that. There is the 9. As the LMPs are in the pits, Eric Fox completes his service. Dennis Rotter right in behind. Rady has stayed out and taken the lead of the race in LMP2. Lucas Wallace will be the third driver out. They maintain position there. There's Andreas Schwarz. Seeley also in, and we're going to check the pit road times. 34.1, 32.3 for Rotter. A very good pit stop for Dennis. 33.8 Wallace, 33.4 for Schwarz, 34.1 for Seeley. So it looks like fuel only for all the drivers. Full fuel pit stops. We're expecting a 3-stop race today. It should be 2 full fuels and a splash and go if you want to run it straight up. If you've got tires in your future, I don't think it's the best way to go, but we'll see what happens. But you can always split the race into thirds, or quarters in this case. And, but it looks like they're all playing it pretty straight up. Barklow is back on circuit, and 1:31 off the lead. All right, and now this timing screen is going to be my bugaboo all day for GT3, and I was wondering why Nicholas Scott was not right on the tail of Marcel Struff, and of course that 19-second gap is to the back of Jens Spammers. As Keith Rainey has pulled into the pits, and the LMP leaders will regain their rightful place. The 6-car getting service. And the car he was battling with, Seeley, now coming out through Daytona 4. Past the aforementioned Nicholas Scott. So we'll have to do a lot more math to figure out those gaps. Scott pulls off to the pits for what is probably an early GT3 pit stop. We'll see. Seeley does go by Rainey, who is just now coming out. And Seeley will maintain that position. The GTE cars are in pit road. That's Hayden Fowler. Sakala is in there. Botha is in there. We've had a lot of the GT3s as well come into the pit road. So it's all happening down there 40 minutes into this race. Looks to me like we've had some LMP saving fuel, and maybe the GT3s or GT cars not having to. We've got a lot of cars down pit road. Currently watching That's Piers Berry now, as they have all... No, he is yet to pit. So the front end of the GTE Pro class has not pitted. Matheson has not. Zerano, Posland, Campbell. Berry, who's leading this mid-pack battle, is still out there. Fowler, Sakalas, Botha, and Hensel's pitted twice. Kelly's had a drive-through. Here comes Max Riebensteiner into the pits, as the rest of the GTE Pro class should be coming down. Nice little wiggle right on the limit of braking. Beautifully done. That white line is not enforced. If you're wondering why you cut the corner there, that was talked about in the drivers' meeting as well. It is not enforced in iRacing, and so the league, without live marshals, also does not enforce that line. You can cut across. The only thing you got to make sure is that you do not hit somebody when you're rejoining if they were not cutting across. The top of the GTE Pro class is in, and a big wiggle on the grass. Oh, that's your leader! And he's towed back to the pits. Matheson spins on pit exit. That is going to release Ivan Zerano into the lead. No, James Posland has not pitted yet. Keep myself grounded here. But Zerano is going to be your leader in GTE Pro. We've already seen one GT car clip the grass and lose the lead. Matheson looks like he's just done the same thing, but on pit exit. And that's a tow from the exit of pit road. That's going to be at least a 1.5 minute tow. He is going to drop right down the field, already in 10th, and I'm sure that car's not even recovered yet. Zerano, as Posland does come down pit road, and we'll see, just now entering the bus stop is the 77. So as he comes around, that should be the amount of time that Matheson is towed back. It could be a little more of a penalty, but we'll see. Posland is on the move, but I don't think... No, he's nowhere near being able to take the lead. He was up in 4th. We'll see how much time he's gained. And Fowler is there, along with Shilakis, who is a lap down. But Fowler now up to 2nd. Posland is in 3rd place. As we've got a huge gaggle here. That's your race leader in LMP. Shilakis trying to get by spammers in the GT3 car. That's his right. Fox is going to have to wait. There is Posland now in 3rd place in GTE Pro. And Fox finally with an opportunity to get by. A little flash saying the pass is going to happen here. Shilakis facilitates that, and everybody through cleanly. But what a traffic jam. We saw the same thing happen in Sebring. Remember, where Paul Seeley in the 72 LMP got caught behind a GTE battle that was trying to pass a GT3 AM car and just had to wait for half a lap. There was no track to get by, and the same thing happening to Fox there. Rotter closes the gap to 2.7 seconds. As we go on board with the German in 2nd place. And the gap 3.4, and on board with Dennis Rotter is always an interesting thing. We'll see if he's no fuel saving this round. Remember, he had it quite his way with his teammate Thomas Brommel when we were here last in Daytona. It is all hands on deck here trying to close in that gap, which ebbs and flows now between 4 and 3 seconds. There is your GTE Pro leader. He's going to have to bleed the throttle through the kink, and then he'll go to the inside of that beautiful Tic Tac car, I have to say. Brand new livery there for Jacob Wally. We have to mention, there it is there, the BMW, and he's just in behind the 28 of Fowler. Debuted that at our photo shoot day. And we'll give him a good shout out for that. So the pit stops are complete, and we'll give you a bit of a rundown here. Fox now, that gap 5 seconds as the traffic continues to get in the way. But Fox continues to lead Rotter as he has from the green flag. Lucas Wallace, as a round has gone, Botha, that's the 888 of Jacques Botha. And we've had another... We'll get back to the rundown there. Little contact at the bus stop. So Lucas Wallace third, Andreas Schwarz there, 20 and 28 seconds behind the lead. It's really a two-car breakaway in LMP. Paul Seeley leads Rainey now by 7 seconds, 5th to 6th. He opened that gap through the pit stops. Rainey, you recall, went an extra lap. Barclow has made his way up to 7th. Ellico now has cleared the GT field as well after his early problems. All the LMPs running on track are together up front. We have lost Jerome, who's still trying to get that car fixed after that incredible crash in the bus stop when John Nielsen caught the curbing and got a little loose, collected the 22 car. Oliver Schlabs we have lost. Floor damage very early on. We saw him getting overtaken by all the cars down the front straightaway. He was clearly off about 20 kilometers an hour. They've retired the 473 early on here in race 1. Up front, the 28, as we're watching there, has taken the lead. The Sebring winner, Hayden Fowler in the 28 car. Now with a 0.6 second lead over Ivan Zerano in the 77. He's come all the way from his 8th place qualifying. And with a little bit of problems from the pole sitter, and then Matheson, who has still not rejoined the circuit, the Canadian finds himself on point in GTE Pro, and you can see the top 3 all together as James Poslin is right there. 1, 2, and 3. The RSR is chasing down the C8R. In 4th place, Andreas Sakalas. He's 7 seconds behind this battle, with Aidan Campbell in the 23. Piers Berry in 6th. Max Riebensteiner is in 7th place. And he's had himself a second pit stop. Why did Max go down? I see no stop time. It had to be a drive-through penalty. And we have a little bit of a replay. This is also something we've seen before. This is Riebensteiner leaving his original pit stop. And you can see it's a battle with Barry. They had been in that mid-pack battle all the time. And again, a little grass, and around went the 14 car. Exactly the same thing we saw from Matheson. Matheson has not rejoined the field. If he's retired from that, I'm not sure what's going on. See if we can hear from Yori on the Discord. But that car definitely not on track. Hensel is in 8th. Sonnen in 9th. Imantas Shilakis in 10th place in the 546. He's had a couple of issues now. And running back in the top 10. Manathan Guerin is in 11th, still running. Botha, after that spin, has gone to the pit road, so maybe some damage on the 888 car as well. As the first stint saw some incredible battles in LMP, and in the mid-pack for GTE Pro, it's all GTE Pro at the front right now after the first pit stops. Hour and 10 minutes to go. We're expecting at least one more stop in GTE. And the top three are nose to tail. 0-0 looking to have a little look. We're heading to the kink. I'm not sure it's going to happen there. But very well positioned to pick up that toe going down the back straightaway. That is Andreas Schwarz in the 204. Trying to make his way through. He's now got a comfortable lead after that knife fight he had with his two teammates in the first stint. He's opened up a 14-second gap over Seeley in fifth, and Seeley with an almost as comfortable gap back to Rainey in sixth. He's got a little work to do. It's 7 seconds to catch Lucas Wallace for that final podium position. We'll watch that gap. But right now, this is the battle on track. Hayden Fowler, through 50 minutes of running, has found himself up at the front after qualifying in 8th place. We were surprised in the grid walk at where that car was starting, but the racecraft showing through, and he's got that car up on point. We check the pit stops. Fuel only for all the cars. 25.6 for Hayden, 0-0 a 26.2, and a 26.6 for Posland. Where it might have helped, Hayden Fowler on pit road a second quicker than the other two cars, only 56.1 seconds down from pit entry to pit exit. And maybe that was the difference. As 0-0 goes wide, Posland takes advantage, the 91 up to second. As we check back in with our LMP leader, it's a 7-second lead now for the 33 car of Eric Fox. And this is the biggest lead we've seen him have all day long. Schleich is now right on the tail end of this battle as well. But he is one lap adrift after some early problems in the 546. As we are on board with the 91 of James Posland, now back up to second, one position away from where he qualified. The tiniest of mistakes coming out of the kink in lap one. It's been 55 minutes of work to get back here. As we pop back to the third place car, we see the leaders in front coming through Daytona 3. Rohan Kelly, that was the 222, the beautiful gold Lamborghini Huracan. He's in 7th place in GTE Pro, or GT3M, and after being hit early on lap 2, has had his day really compromised, but he's fighting his way back. 6 laps, unfortunately, off the lead of the GT3M class, and as we look down through, yeah, the first car not on the lead lap, so that's going to be a long day's work for Rohan. Unfortunately, the second time that's happened, you remember in Sebring, he got hit down at the hairpin by one of the LMP cars. It's not good news, but makes him feel better there is that LMP car no longer in this lead for that incident, so doesn't make it feel any better for Rohan today. As 0-0, it's a great tow for the 91 car. As he goes side by side with Fowler on the inside and will take the lead. Posland back to first place in GTE Pro. Fowler with a nice run on the outside. He's got to make the move count, though, because Posland's got the inside track. Fowler will lead the lap officially as they cross the line, but James, oh, and he's got the GT3 as a pick. Fowler runs right out. Dale Clough, for his credit, does not... I mean, he wasn't in the way. He kept his line. He kept it straight. He didn't spin. He let the GTE sort it out, and that gives Posland an easy corner there. Hayden must have been awfully late on the brakes there to have run out that wide. He'll have to settle in and do it again. The best part about that, as we look now from the nose of the 28 car, he didn't turn that into a mistake that cost him a position. Zerano is still behind, and it's still 1 second to cover all three cars. So although it looked sketchy, no harm, no foul, really. Although now Posland had a great launch out of turn 6 and actually gives himself a luxurious 1/7 of a 10-second gap. That is Keith Rainey, your 6th place car. The 6th car in 6th. That works very well for me. Being the announcer, I don't have to worry too much about that. Marcel likes it easy. He's still in the tow a little bit. Looks like Fowler's going to close that back down. This three-way battle will continue. There's Marcel Struff. I've been watching him pretty much all day. He has dropped to 5th place in GT3M after the pit stops. Jacob Wally and Jens Spammers still right together. She didn't look at that. Those cars seem very close together. There is Wally now. And Spammers actually just behind. We're not going to have an accurate gap with the GT3 timing issue with the Ferraris, but that'll all be fixed in Road America in 2 weeks. Another 2-hour race for race number 2 as we head to Road America at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. And we hope to have an even larger field, a fantastic 34 cars here today, the largest field in KRL history on iRacing. And we look to get even more for the 2-hour race around Road America. There's Clay Barklow. And that gap is definitely coming down after the day he's had. Barklow in 7th place. It is, well, to be fair, it's still 28 seconds, but he's gaining a 1.5 seconds a lap if you look back through the timing sheets. His best lap in this race is a 34.3. Keith Rainey a 34.4, so not much difference there. Just the last lap that had a nice gap on it. But we'll watch that to see if he can get back in touch with the actual LMP field after starting right at the back and piling a heap of work with 24 GT cars in front of him. Sim time just about 8:15 in the evening here at Daytona as we get into the second hour. That is Steve Groninga around in the Ferrari. Quickly gets it out of the way as Nicholas Scott was coming through, and that was also one of the KRE LMP cars. And we'll see what happened. No contact, just loses the back end right in front. Was that Struff in the 78 car? One of the M4s. But you can see he quickly gets that car into a safe spot. And he's going to drop down the field a little bit. 2, 4, 5, 6. That's 7th place now for Groninga in the GT3M class. There's Max Riebensteiner. We saw him with his problems on pit exit. We believe he's had a drive-through as well. Last time down into the pits, he did not have any time stopped. So with an extra pit stop on the board, usually means that somebody's been down for a 10X. Haven't heard from anyone on the Discord yet from the pits, so probably getting most of the information accurate here. Can't believe we haven't heard from the 28 car regardless. There's usually some typing going on from that camp. And here he is running in second place, the pole sitter back where he started. Remember how quickly it happened as we look back to lap number 1. Posland out with a great start, it must be said. He had a nice little gap there, just clipped that grass early, put it out sideways, didn't collect anyone. You see Masterson going by, 0-0 the entire field, but just that simple mistake dropped him all the way to 11th place. It has taken him the best part of that first hour to get himself back up. And we'll see if he can actually open up that gap now. It's less than a second to tow, a big, big factor here. As we see Dennis Rotter on the screen, I believe that's Dean Ellico behind him. We'll just check on the map. It is. We have access, of course, to many things off screen to keep us up to date. There is the track map if you're interested. And our battle for the lead in GTE Pro. Hayden Fowler, the car in the middle of the RSR sandwich. Posland, your leader, 0-0 in third place. The podium all running within a second of each other, coming through the International Horseshoe. Jacques Botha still in the pits. Look down. Just noticed that because John Nielsen is back out after that massive crash with Jeff Jerome, who is also back out on track, it must be said. Great job by Jeff. Botha looks like he may have retired that car. As Hayden Fowler, side by side with 0-0. And 0-0 has dropped back off of this. Did he have a slowdown or something? I'm sorry we missed that. The cameras have been trained on this battle. He's even dropped behind Shilakis, so something happened in the bus stop there with the 77, and he has now dropped right back off of this battle for first in GTE Pro. Confirmed from pit road that Jacques Botha and Yori Matheson have retired from this race in GTE Pro, and that has consequences in the series, of course, with the new damage model and the way you can fix these cars to get them back to basically new condition. You need to finish to collect your points, at least be connected to the lobby, so that's, I mean, they're going to drop out of the top 10 anyway, but there is a point for all the cars who finish the race out of the top 10. And, of course, that point is not awarded if you don't finish the race. So that means Botha and Matheson are both going to receive 0 points here today. And we'll see how that plays itself out. for the rest of the season. I do see Baca. Let's just clarify that. Is the 888 car still here with us? He is. Okay, so maybe that's a bit premature for the 888. But the 185 has definitely left the lobby. So we'll try and get more information as it becomes available here. As your LMP race leader, we haven't been seeing a lot of Mr. Fox. Is doing something that very few people can do on this planet, and that is pull a gap to Dennis Rotter. It is now 12 seconds from the 33 to the 011. The biggest sadness for me from this race is that we don't have Thomas Brommel in this battle, or Jennifer McDonald for that matter. Hopefully that will be sorted for Road America in 2 weeks. The 77 of Ivan Ziranu. 8 seconds, so he is pulling that gap back. 42.2 last time around for Ivan. Fowler a 42.5. Posland 41.5 as Zirano has GT3 issues. Gets by Thompson, who's up on the outside. That car should be on the inside. But he does get by. Having to shoot the gap there was the 777. And you can see the 719 has been in the wars. That beautiful blue night racing Lamborghini. He had troubles right on the first turn, and he's had some other issues as well, it looks like. Dennis Rotter in the pits, and this would be a scheduled stop. We are now 1 hour and 10 minutes into the race. The 011 maybe splitting his final 2 stops, making the splash and go a little longer. We'll see what the pit stop times are. It's a 26.8 stop for Rotter. That is definitely a quicker pit stop. Everybody did 34.1s. 33s to 34s in the first stop, so a bit of a short fuel for Dennis. He'll come in for a little longer splash and go, and we'll see what happens when the rest of the pack comes down pit road as well. Andrew Sakalas running in 4th, tantalizingly close now to Zirano. It's only 3.5 seconds up the road, really. And we pull a little toe off this LMP. You could try and close that gap down. The podium is not set in GTE Pro by any stretch of the imagination, as there comes Groninga through. Nicholas Scott in the Ferrari, he's going to go off. Keeps it straight. Zerano gets through. Maybe a little mirror watching there, but does keep the car to the outside, gives that inside groove to the GTE car, and through they go. Zerano now 6 seconds behind Fowler. That gap continues to close, although it says they ran identical lap times the last time around. There's Aiden Campbell still holding on to his top 5, and he is right in behind, it must be said, Andreas Sakalas. They are right together. If we just pan the camera, the next car up in line is Sakalas, and of course, we just mentioned he's only 4 seconds behind Zerano, so the top 5 in GTE Pro still within reach of each other. Third, fourth, and fifth in contact on the track. There are no cars between them. Barklow has made his second pit stop, I think we saw there. Still waiting for the race leaders. Little flash spammers well out of the way there. Just letting them know I'm coming through. It's one of the things we have in our rules here. Flashing cars to let them know you're there is irrelevant. Everybody knows where you are. This is a very high-level series. But it is written in the rules, if you're going to make a passing attempt, if it's going to happen this corner, give a little flash and at least let the other guy know they can leave a little extra space and make sure everybody gets through safe. If you're not coming through, there's no point so you don't flash. Sakalis now having to deal with Lucas Wallace. We haven't seen a lot of today. He's been running in third place all day. Remember, Rotter is out of position with that early pit stop. Lucas Wallace effectively running third here. About 35 seconds off. Schwarz right there, you see the 204 trying to run him down. And it's 6.5 seconds the gap. Seeley kind of lost touch now, 15 seconds behind Schwarz. And of course, Rotter is going to regain at least second once all these cars come down to pit road. 23 laps, I think they did on their first stop. Yes, that's correct, 23. So we should be seeing Fox at the end of this lap if he holds to a 23-lap stint. Zeranol has now gotten by Shilakis there, the one lap down car, and is back in touch with the two in front. There is Posland now. Oh, it must be a luxurious 3-second lead. Not sure what happened there. A little bit of a run in the grass by Dean Ellico. Posland shouldn't have to worry about him as long as Dean can keep that straight. When you're leading a race like this, you never want to see a backmarker in another class doing weird things in front of you. Just keep it straight and let's get around. Zerano now 6.4 seconds behind Fowler. As we check in on a beautiful evening at Daytona from the blimp. And rumors abound, of course, all the time. If you watch the forums, the only thing that could make this night more beautiful is a spot of rain, wouldn't you agree? Hopefully that's coming sometime soon. As the LMPs you see now making their pit stops. There is the 33 of Eric Fox has made his pit stop. It's another 33.4 second stop, so that is full fuel, meaning a splash and go at the end of the race. Schwarz is in, Wallace is in, Seeley is in. Where will Rotter come out? We see him back there just coming out of turn one, so it's still a nice, comfortable lead. Just in the International Horseshoe now, just under 8 seconds. Now, it was larger before the pit stops, and that difference, of course, being that the 011 had a shorter stop. He's going to have to pay the piper on the next stop, where he'll have to go a little bit longer. No tires again for anyone in the top 6. The last stop for Barklow was 53 seconds, so whether that was tires, damage, or both, after we saw the 818 spin in the bus stop, Clayton is one of those cars we expect to see battling up front as well, with the likes of Brommel, who's not here today, Fox and Rotter, Jennifer McDonald as well. I'm never going to count her out for being at the front of a field in any car she's driving. But Clayton, unfortunately, out of position today with a bad qualifying, and he's had some issues. But a little more experience, and he's certainly got the pace. We look forward to watching that car move its way to the front through the entire season. As Rotter does a 35.4, that's, I'm going to say that's a good to above average time. We've seen cars in the 34s, though. We did have some traffic in turn 1 last lap around, and Fox's lap time not representative. A 23.9, of course, includes his pit exit. As Rainey has come in for his second stop, you're going to see the LMPs jumping up the timing screen as that all sorts itself out. Shores goes by. Seeley will also in the next 10 seconds. And there's nothing like catching the other classes on the banking where you can just float your way by and not lose any time. Eric Fox, 7-second lead. I can't wait to see what this lap time is. He has had traffic, but he's caught a lot of it on the banking. And we'll see how his times post pit stop 2 are comparing to Rotter, who is got 42 minutes to chase him down. Aiden Campbell, a little flash to Marcel Struve saying, I'm going to come through here. He has now got himself in contact with Andrius Sakalas. He makes the move into turn 1, a little bit of a wiggle, but he's got it under control, and this is a right true battle for 4th place in GTE Pro. That three-way battle is spread out a little bit. Posland now 4 seconds ahead of Fowler, who is 6 seconds ahead of Zirano. So the battle now falls to these two drivers. The Finn, Andreas Sakalas in the 717 Porsche RSR. And the American, Aiden Campbell, in his first KRL race, have to be said. Shout out to Aiden, welcome, and doing quite well here. His buddy, Drew Eccles, who debuted in Sebring, not here today. So we'll have to see what's going on with Drew. But Aiden having a great debut here, running in the top 5 in arguably the most competitive class in the KRL. Fowler with a little bit of three-way action on the banking in NASCAR 1. NASCAR 3. Officially the entire banking, turn 12 here at Daytona for the road course. Everybody through safe. And the answer to the question up front, Dennis Rotter's last lap, he's just crossing the line now, so let's get an update. Okay, he was a 34, I believe it was a 6 in the previous lap, a 35.7 that time around, but Fox, there he is, again now with traffic in the International Horseshoe, 36.4, so that gap has come down a second in the last lap, and we're going to watch as LMP may have a battle for the lead in this last 40 minutes. We know there's one more pit stop. GTE Pros now making their second stops. Andreas Sakalas, the first one to pull the trigger. Riebensteiner, Hensel actually have already gone in behind him. Sakalas, the first of the top 5. Momentarily will give Piers Berry the 5th place position, but he also needs to pit. Hensel is in the pits for his 3rd. We believe he's had a drive-through early on in this race. We saw a wrinkle on that right front fender. As a couple of LMPs come through, that's your GT3 AM leader, Jacob Wally, having a great day today in that BMW M4. The M4 debuting this race in the KRL as Keith Rainey decides to cut some grass. Loops it out of the International Horseshoe. Nobody coming up behind, so he's got lots of space to get back on safely. That is going to seriously open up that gap now. Fowler makes his way to the pits in GTE Pro. So Posland, Cyrano, Campbell now up to third place. We wait for the top three to pit as we do Piers Berry in the 41 car. Oh! That's Mark Sonnen in the 111. I believe that was Nicholas Scott in the 9 car on his roof. What has happened there? Down the back straightaway, approaching the bus stop. There's the Ferrari of Nicholas Scott all by himself. Oh, he's lost it. Riebensteiner goes through. He didn't even hit the wall. How on earth has he ended up on his roof? Uh-oh. Well, that explains that. And we just saw Keith Rainey rejoining the circuit. Came back in with nobody around and was able to do it at a 90-degree angle. That's all well and fine if there's nobody around. You cannot come on the track like that when there is traffic coming, especially at such a high-speed part of the track. I mean, cars would have been slowing down anyway with the yellow flag there, but everybody's filtered out to the left. That car came out through the cones on the left side at a 90-degree angle, and Mark Sonnen nowhere to go. And the marshals, or sorry, the stewards will have something to say about that, and we'll get that sorted for next week. That's an easy mistake to fix moving forward. There is the 9 car. You got a brief glimpse of it. That's going to be heavy, heavy damage. The saving grace for Nicholas is that we're not racing that Legacy 488 anymore. You don't need to fix it. He can hop into a nice new Evo for race number 2 at Road America. The remainder of the GTE Pro cars in the pits, there is Zerano. Coming out is Posland. He's just now... No, he stayed out. Sorry. The rest of the cars are in. Fowler has regained his second place. There he is just now. As Campbell, look at the space he's gained here. 25.8 stop to a 27 for Zerano, and that has closed that gap right up. We've got a battle for third. Posland should be able to make his stop and come out in front. He's gone the extra lap. But a great pit stop, and let's compare total time on pit road. 57.1 seconds for Campbell. 59.5, so he has gained 2.4 seconds on pit road, and that has given us a battle for third in GTE Pro. The final spot on the podium up for grabs. And you can see now, of course, the times are still going to settle in. We'll wait for them to come around and at least cross the line, but it looks like it's an 11-second gap from Fowler to Zerano. Fowler slightly quicker. Holy, his pit lane time is spectacular. Aiden Campbell, 2.4 seconds faster than Zerano on pit road with a 57.1. Fowler had a 56.6. And he was stopped for longer, so unless he's going to get a pit road speeding penalty, he nailed the in and the out fantastically. We check back in. That is the 14 of Max Riebensteiner in 7th. A bit of a lackluster day for Max. Generally up a little higher in the standings. I don't recall any issues as Rainey using up that rubber. Comes back out. I believe that was a little flash from his class leader. Let me by. I'm trying to get out of the way. Eric Fox wanting the inside. Rainey saying you can have the outside. Yeah, he's going to stay as far over as he can. And finally, Eric is through, but he's got a little bit of an incentive to keep that thing moving, and his lap time is going to suffer from that for sure. Dennis Rotter is turning in laps half a second or so quicker. The gap currently listed at 7.5 seconds, but Eric doesn't want it to get any lower as Posland is in the pits now in the 91 car. We'll see where that pans out. Sakalas has dropped now to 5th. Still in 5th, I believe. Aiden Campbell is the one who's really benefited. There he is in the 23 from that last set of pit stops. And Aiden in the tow, in a very, very good position here to try and grab 3rd place from Ivan Zaranow. Posland out. The gap to Fowler, 7 seconds. It's still stabilizing. We're watching the battle behind them. This is the battle on track right now. KRE car, what is going on there? That is a very damaged Dean Ellico. He's coming off the tri-oval. He's all by himself. Holy, straight into the barrier. What a hit there by the 429. I'm not sure he even realizes how much damage there is until he tries to start. And then he goes, oh, yeah, no, this is way too bad. And he's got that 3rd place battle coming right through. So the 429 back in the pits. As Campbell tries to come by the 54 of John Nielsen. Zaranow, a little bit of an advantage there. Fox quicker than Rotter the last time around. And even with that little bit of a hang up behind the 6 car, he has pulled a second back on the 011. We settle in again with Aiden Campbell. And he is outside. Doesn't get the move done, but all over the back. He went to go on board and then realized they were side by side on the tri-oval. Back on board with the 23 now. Minutes remain in this opening round of Season 3 in the Night Racing League Sports Car Championship, and Aiden Campbell making his debut, looking to make it a podium. We see in his rear view, that's the 33 of Eric Fox, just waiting for the banking to get by. All these guys are so great. You look at your relative, you can see those 2 guys in front of you are battling for a podium position. And although he's in a battle of his own, the last thing you want to do is wreck somebody else's race. Fox now by cleanly. 34 sevens for both Fox and Rotter the last time around as they are putting it down. It's hammer time in LMP. Again, on the outside of the tri-oval, Aiden Campbell doesn't look like he's up alongside like he was last lap. Certainly somebody to worry about for Zaranow. We've got the 6 of Rainey coming through here. Nice little power slide by the RSR. Rainey in 6th place. He's got Barklow to worry about in behind. It's only a 10-second gap now to the 818, who, despite his issues, is closing down this gap for 6th place. Rainey gets through clean. Campbell is by. How did I miss that? Aiden Campbell up to 3rd place. Oh, I'm going to watch that back on the broadcast and be shaking my head. I'm glad you saw it because we were all watching it together. And he sets his sights on maybe pulling out a little bit of a gap. Fowler is 12 seconds up the road, which, unless something unforeseen happens, could be a bit of an insurmountable gap, but keep it clean and stay ahead of the 77, and it'll be a podium on his debut. There's the 011, who has now dropped 10 seconds down the road. A 35.3 for Fox, a 36.6 for Rotterdam, updated to a 35.6, but still 0.3 of a second slower. The timing screen updating, that's Elico dropping down the overall order after that crash we saw coming out of turn 1. Less than a half an hour, it is go time for the 011. Checking fastest laps here. Zirano actually with a 41.267 has the fast lap over Aiden Campbell, a 141.680 for the American, and certainly not pulling away. So this battle may not be done yet. Campbell quicker the last time around by 0.6. There is Clayton Barklow. And as Rainey enters turn 12, NASCAR 3, Barklow now coming through the bus stop behind this 3rd place battle. It is still 10, maybe almost 11 seconds separating the two. Cyrano with a nice toe as we come down through the tri-oval. Guaranteed we have not heard the last from these two. As I'm again just watching gaps, I'm sure this is where the pass happened. I can't believe I was so focused on Rainey getting through cleanly that I missed the pass of the 23 car. I won't be living that down for a while. And Andreas Schwarz, we've learned, has dropped back. We've watched that gap. He's now only 10 seconds in front of Paul Sealing. And again, we're down in the bus stop. And he's clipped the curbing, looked like with the left rear, and gone around deep into the grass. So that has closed the gap up in LMP quite a bit. Oh, there's another 3 wide. That's Maneth and Guerin in the middle now. 3 classes, 3 wide. Rowan Kelly still running that 7th place. He's actually gained back a lap. He was 6 down before. He's actually only 5 now. So good on him. He's 3 laps up on John Nielsen, who we saw in that huge crash. And it's just past Mark Sonnen on the overall timing list, who I believe we've lost with his huge crash. A couple of cars airborne here today in the exit of the bus stop. And that's a shame. Mark, one of the most dedicated drivers in this series. And it doesn't look like he's even going to collect a point for today's work. That is Piers Berry, who was involved in that massive 4 and 5 car battle early on. Still running in 6th place. He's about 14 seconds behind Sakalas in 5th, but he's got a comfortable 10-second gap over Max Riebensteiner, so if he can keep it clean, it'll be a top 6 for Berry. As James Polsland looking to start the season off from pole to 10th, back to 1st. And will he open up Season 3 here in the Night Racing League with a win? Looking like he's going to be one of the cars to beat in this incredibly competitive GTE Pro class. And of course, with McDonald moving up to the LMP, there is no defending champion in that class. It is wide open for a brand new champion this year. Back with Andreas Schwarz. Only 9 seconds now between he and Seeley. 22 minutes remaining here. Plenty of time. Here's the other LMP battle we're watching. 8.75. And another move. Here is Zerano, not going to have it on the exit of the corner. Little bit of a defensive line by Campbell. Doesn't look like he wants to wait for the banking. He's certainly got it well positioned to have the toe for both long straights. Up front, Roder, 0.8 of a second quicker than Fox on lap number 60. And here we go, out of turn 6. He's got the toe and a little look. It's almost better to keep it nice and tight. No, he's going to make a move. I was going to say to keep it nice and tight, follow through the bus stop, and then get it down into turn 1. He's on the outside. There's not a lot you're going to do there. Maybe that's the whole plan. Unsight him, maybe get a mistake. If not, get your toe. Although the gap, a little larger than you would hope. He does have that toe. Nowhere near close enough to make a move. Fox quicker than Roder that time around. The gap moves back up to 9 seconds. Schwarz and Seeley still 9.5 seconds. This is the battle on circuit as Aiden Campbell has taken 3rd in GTE Pro. Ivan Zerano wants it back. The exit turn 6 to the banking. That's your GT3 AM leader, Jacob Wally in front. You hear the early lift. They're going to wait to get through the bus stop, make the clean pass. Great stuff on board. Here they come, and he is definitely close enough to make a move here as they come back around through the tri-oval. Up alongside the GT3 AM leader. Campbell defends. matching 34s, 34.4 for Rotter, 34.6 for Fox, but more importantly, the gap over the last lap and a half has come down to 7.5 seconds. We'll watch that. We just saw Jacob Wally in the GT3 AM class. There he is. A very comfortable 44-second lead over Enos Bothma, who is in second place. Jan Spammers in third. Back onto the banking. Lucas Wallace now in third place. We're trying to see how that gap came down. I'm told there was an issue with the 33 car. This was one lap ago. No issues there for Eric Fox. Oh, he's overcooked the rears, and he's collected by Shleikas, who's had his issues already today. How unfortunate is that? The LMP race leader. So how is that going to affect the 33 car? He could have damage there. His last lap time, a 35.6 to a 34.3 for Dennis Rotter. The gap down to 7.8 seconds. We know they were pretty close the lap before, but that... Not sure how much time he lost there. But we'll watch that gap now as Zirano and Campbell will not let us turn away to anything else for longer than a couple of seconds. These cars are 12 seconds behind Fowler, who's still 11 seconds behind Posland. And Sakalas 14 seconds behind this battle. This is the battle on the circuit. These two not disappointing as they head down to the bus stop here on lap number 60. And a very good toe, but again, the inside is covered by the 23 car. Gets his nose ahead for the line. Hey, maybe that's important at the end. That's all you need to do on the last lap. Oh, and a wiggle. He's definitely got it in deep enough, but that wiggle gives Campbell enough purchase to get the car back into third place. Very interesting, though. Campbell seems to be able to stay in front through turn one, but on the last lap, that's not what matters. It's who's in front at the line. Maybe Zirano figuring out where he needs to be and what he has to do just to get that position on the last lap. Jeff Jerome in the 22, that's the 9th place LMP car. 19 laps down after that huge bus stop crash. They've got it fixed. The car looks great. All kudos to iRacing for the new damage repair in endurance cars. Behind him is Dean Ellico, who also has been using that new feature and has his car out there. Ellico 8 laps down, and going through, that's Andreas Schwarz, who is now 13 seconds. He's been able to open that gap back up to Seeley. Rotter in the pits for his final stop. Coming out now, we know he's short-filled in his second stop. He's made his third splash and go with quotations. It will be a little longer than the others. 14.3 seconds stopped for the 011. We check back in with our GTE Pro leader. And that is Schwarz making his way through that group of back markers in LMP. Continues on in fourth. It looks like he's got the pace over Seeley. Seeley is running 36s. Schwarz in the 35, so I'm not sure there's much of a challenge coming from the Canadian there. A little fash for Darrell Clough, who gives the inside lane to the LMPs. And that, as you saw on the timing screen, is a pass for overall position for Dean Ellico, which in the KRL means nothing. It is class position only that matters here. And Clay Barklow in the 818 in the pits for his final pit stop. Is that flash from the 23? I think it was. Just telling Forrest Ellico he's not going to be in a position to make a pass, so you can flash all you like, but it's good that they know it's coming. They get through, exiting the bus stop. And Zirino again with a toe. Rotter actually gets back out of the pits without losing that second position this time. As Zirino makes his move, we will wait for the splashing goes. Flashing his lights. There's another GT3 just in front of these. It's Clough. Perfectly positioned as he has been, and not a wiggle, it has to be said. Campbell absolutely having his car placed perfectly. He's got the GT3 as a pick. Zirino can do nothing but drive in behind. Back on board with Ivan. 11 minutes left. We're watching LMP pit stops. The GT3 field is pretty settled at the moment unless something spectacular happens. Hoseland with a 13-second lead over Fowler and GTE Pro. This is the battle for the final podium spot that's been going for the last 40 minutes. You see the Canadian Paul Seeley coming through the rearview mirror and going up on the high banking. This is the battle on track, and we're watching the battle for the lead in LMP when Eric Fox comes into the pits. He has more than enough time to get around, get pitted. He should have a shorter pit stop than Rotter. And we'll see what that gap will be for the final, well, probably 6 or 7 minutes is when he's going to be coming down to the pits. Another not so close this time. Oh, and it was, I was going to say, was that a wiggle from the 23? Because he hasn't done it, but definitely a little bit on power there. The first time we've seen that from the 23 car, but it, again, still placed perfectly through turn 1 and into the International Horseshoe. Where is Eric Fox on the track? He is coming down into the West Horseshoe. We'll see if he's making his pit stop. It was 23.66, so this is lap 69 for the American. And will he have to stop for optional damage? I don't know if he will after that little tap he had after losing the back end and just getting clipped. No fault to Imantis Shilakis. Sorry, Imantis. No fault to Imantis for that touch. It was the 33 losing the rear end down in the West Horseshoe. But we'll see if he comes down pit road this time around. Zirino again, not close enough to lead at the line. but he is close enough to get up beside. Very wide entry this time. Is he trying to cross over? Campbell having to alter. It's been a long time since he's had that much track to work with on the turn one. And right to the outside there, not having to defend. Shalekas in the pits from 9th place in GTE Pro. And Fox is in the pits. This is the stop. Shalekas actually leaving. We'll watch the time. Stopped 8, 9, 10, 11 seconds stopped. So he's gained 2. He's gained 2 seconds, 12.2 to 14.3. Time on pit road for Eric Fox. We don't have the final number until he crosses those green cones. 43.1 seconds on pit road. It was 45 for Dennis Rotter, who is right there. So that little spin being collected by the 546. Eric Fox now with a 1.7 second lead over Dennis Rotter. And the question is there any damage that is going to hurt? Here is the spin one more time if you missed it. The 33 making a routine pass. It's all clean. The Corvette well out of the way, but just a little bit of a loss of traction. And he gets collected. Nowhere for the Corvette to go. We'll watch that gap. As you can see, down the straightaway, it's coming down. That could be the toe. 0.7 of a second. 6.5 tenths. 6 tenths. And Eric Fox will head into the bus stop. Zerano is past Campbell. What is Campbell doing on pit road? Up front. Pass for the lead. Dennis Rotter is by. I think there's an issue with that 33 car. Here he is in the toe, and he still is not keeping up to the 011. I think there are issues on that 33 car, and Dennis Rotter has taken the lead in LMP with 6 minutes remaining. The Season 2 champion back up front after trailing for 1 hour and 54 minutes. Can't see anything obvious on the 33, but it was very clear coming down the front straightaway that he could not keep up. Meanwhile, there is Ivan Zerano now running in 4th place. What has happened in GT3 or GTE Pro? Again, side by side, we've seen this about 43,000 times. Oh! Zerano loses a rear under braking. Campbell goes around. A little bit of time. Well, that explains why the 23 car was on pit road. And I have to say, it almost looks like Ivan, who's on the brakes there, he must have a little bit of damage. Oh, I was trying to watch that replay. That's all we had. Is there damage on the left front of the 77 RSR? Clearly there must be. What I was about to say, it almost looked like Ivan decided to wait for the 23 to go. A bit of a sportsman-like gesture there. Keith Rainey making his final stop. The LMPs up front are cycling through. The big news there, Dennis Rotter, your new leader after... There he is there, coming through that battle. Here they are all together. Aidan Campbell in 3rd place. Aidan Campbell in 5th place. What's going on? He's had an off, and I missed it. Zerano back to 4th. He's actually lost position to Sakalas. Coming through as your overall race leader. Piers Berry is right there as well. Oh my goodness, what's happening in GTE Pro? Rotter now with a 1.5 second lead over Fox as we have less than 4 minutes to go. There is Eric coming through this battle. And Aiden Campbell, after 45 minutes of defending, and is that damage on the right rear corner? Yeah, that would have been from the contact with the 77 for sure. And as that run into some more issues that we've just missed, as both Zirino and Sakalas have gone through, and we'll have to watch Piers Berry as he's right there with them. Lucas Wallace in the 024, we're back with him. There's Andreas Schwarz in the 204. That battle has also closed right up. We hear from pit road that the 024 has gone through his rear tires. So is Andreas Schwarz right there in the 204 on pace to possibly get a podium here as well? The gap now 3 seconds from the 011. All this traffic not making things easier for them as well. Campbell now, after a brilliant drive for third place, having to defend to maintain a top 5. There's the red BMW of Piers Berry, who again we haven't seen much of since the first stint, but making his way up and a chance at a top 5. Here's a battle now for third. Lucas Wallace. Inside is Andreas Schwarz for third place, and he's going to take it. Is he going to take it? No. Too tight of a line there. The American will hold on to it for now. Board the 204 as he gets the toe down on the outside. Easily defended, but the hard part is coming up now. He needs good drive, and those rear tires are done. What a result this would be for the 204 after battling in the mid-pack all race long. He's got the toe on the outside, and into the pits comes Wallace. Andreas Schwarz will take third place in LMP. Is this a drive-through? We'll have to watch and see. We didn't see any contact or off-track, but it could have been a 1X. It is definitely a drive-through. So Andreas Schwarz, the German, up to third place. And if he can keep it on the road, it's his. As Lucas Wallace now falls back. No, not quite into the clutches of the 72. And you could see there from that quick shot, Seeley is behind the race leader. So he's going to be doing one fewer laps than the cars on the lead lap. As on his final lap is Dennis Rotter in the 0111. A fantastic drive in second place for 1 hour and 54 minutes. And with 6 minutes to go, makes his move on what we think is a slightly damaged 33 car from that incident in the West Horseshoe. The leader in GTE Pro, we'll just see if we can check out where the leaders are. James Posland in the 91 coming through NASCAR 4. He will get his last lap to go coming up. Jacob Wally is ahead on the circuit. There he is in the GT3 AM car. But through the bus stop for the final time, defending his championship the best way he can in the opening round. Dennis Rotter in the 011 will win 2 hours at Daytona and collect 38 points in defense of his championship. Dennis Rotter wins at Daytona. And after leading for most of the race, Eric Fox will come home in second. And there is your third place car, Andreas Schwarz. Out of Daytona 4, for the official debut of the GT3 AM class, your first ever points race winner in the Night Racing League Sports Car Championship, Jacob Wally wins in GT3. Second will be Enos Bothma. And your third place car in GT3 AM, collecting an avoidable contact, there is Jan Spammers. And winning in GTE Pro, there is James Posland. What a day for him. Second place, Hayden Fowler, the Canadian. And after an incredible battle that spanned the entire final stint, your third place car, Ivan Zerino in the 77. So here are your final results. Dennis Rotter wins over Eric Fox and Andreas Schwarz, your podium. Lucas Wallace holds on for fourth ahead of Paul Seeley, your top five. Keith Rainey, Clayton Barklow recovers to seventh place ahead of Dean Ellico, Jeff Jerome. GTE Pro, James Posland, Hayden Fowler, and Ivan Zerino, your podium. Andreas Sakalas gets fourth ahead of Aiden Campbell, who unfortunately drops to fifth place with a late issue. Piers Berry and Max Rubensteiner sixth and seventh ahead of Kevin Hensel, Jaden Manathan Guerin. Imatis Shilakis, after an eventful day, finishes in the top 10. Those are your only finishers. Jacques Botha, Mark Sonnen, and Yuri Matheson collect no points. In the GT3 AM, it is Jacob Wally collecting the first points race win in the Night Racing League ahead of Enos Bothma and Jan Spammers. In the podium, Marcel Struth, a great fourth place ahead of Forrest Ellico, Steve Groniga, Dale Clough, and Chris Thompson ahead of Rohan Kelly, who once again, through no fault of his own, has a ninth place finish here today. John Nielsen and Nicholas Scott round out your GT3 AM class. It's been a great day here at Daytona. We can't wait to see you for race number 2 at Road America. That'll be on the 25th of September. YouTube broadcast on the 26th at 1700. We'll see you in 2 weeks at Road America.